I hope something that you've noticed is that the most successful people seem to actively seek out feedback. While I know me and a lot of us, we try to avoid it. So what if I told you that criticism that makes you feel uncomfortable is actually pointing you towards your greatest potential? And then think about this, that it might actually change how you perceive a lot of that. What if the feedback that you've been dreading could be the key that just unlocks superpowers that you didn't even know that you had? Well, if this interests you, go ahead and stick around for this video. My name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and the author of the book, The GIVER Method, which is going to be coming out Black Friday here, 2024. You can go to thegivermethodbook.com in order to get on the pre-launch list, get some bonuses, and be able to receive the book and go get it as soon as it's available. Now, today, we're going to be diving into something that really does have an impact on people who are trying to become givers, and that's how you turn criticism into the fuel that, into fuel for your gifts and superpowers. It's just going to propel you forward. Now, before we dive into that, if you're new here, please hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, comment your thoughts along the way, like the video, all that type of stuff. Like I said, you can go to thegivermethodbook.com and get on that wait list, or check out how we help other people with our services or speaking or podcasts by going to thegivermethod.com. Find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those places. Want you to find us in those places and follow us, because we don't want you to miss out on any of the content or details that we release on unleashing your gifts and superpowers to make a more meaningful impact. Now, for those of you who maybe aren't in our community yet, GIVER Method, I talk a lot about that. On the channel, there's a bunch of videos that break down what that is and what the GIVER Method is. So the quick overview is that the GIVER Method, GIVER is an acronym where essentially what we're trying to do is help people to discover and develop their gifts and superpowers so that they can create value for those who are in their sphere of influence through every engagement, interaction, discussion they have. Because when you do, you're going to notice that you start to see some returns, things like relationship riches, deeper, more meaningful connections. You're able to step into who it is that you're meant to be and make a greater impact in the world. And then, of course, when you develop your gifts and superpowers and give them without expecting anything in return, the universe always has a way of paying you back. And so I want to invite you to go ahead and do that so that you can receive some of that. Now, today we're focusing on how feedback, even when it might sting, it actually enhances your gifts and superpowers when you learn to receive them properly. So I'm going to go through different principles. I'm going to dive through different details. As I do, I'm going to share some of the details around it, and then there'll be an action item for each one. So I highly recommend grab a piece of paper, maybe open up a note, and jot down your thoughts as I share the principle and the action item, because it's great that you're watching the videos, and I want you to keep watching all the videos, but it isn't necessarily about watching the video. It's about the steps you put into place after this video. So record your thoughts on the action items so that way you can go start taking action and start to turn this feedback or criticism into that fuel that really propels you forward. Okay, so let's explore what these are, that help you to transform criticism into growth while it really does strengthen your superpowers. And so the first one I call the feedback mirror. So feedback is not just it's not just about pointing out what's wrong. It actually reflects potential areas of growth and opportunities where you could enhance your unique gifts. So just think of it as a mirror that's not only showing your current state, but also possibly what you can achieve. Now, criticism may feel uncomfortable. It often highlights maybe untapped strengths or areas where small changes, can make a really big difference. So, approach feedback with the mindset that it's not about judgment, but about refinement. We're trying to find that diamond that's in the rough. So when you receive any sort of feedback, ask yourself, what is this reflecting about my abilities, and how can I grow from it? Instead of maybe dismissing criticism or taking it personally, why don't we explore it as an initiative, an invitation to actually start evolving our gifts and superpowers? So naturally along the way, practice self-awareness, during this process, you can help see the feedback as a tool for really unlocking more of your potential. And so the action step here, a couple things that you could do. Feedback mirror, in your journaling, have a section that you write out feedback mirror, and dedicate, some sort of some time to log all the feedback that you receive. And for each entry, document who gave the feedback, what exactly was said, and what was your initial reaction. And then reflect on how that feedback might be pointing you towards hidden strengths or untapped potentials, because it's going to help you start reframing feedback as that tool for growth. Asking yourself the question, what strength is waiting to be discovered here? Because as you log that feedback, take the time to consider how the comments might reveal strengths that you haven't actually embraced yet. For example, criticism about being too detailed might cover a strength of precision and thoroughness. So go practice that. Take and reflect over maybe even a 24-hour period and commit to like, all right, I've received what it is. I'm going to reflect on it for 24 hours before I actually like assign how I feel about it, which prevents us from getting overwhelmed or upset in the moment of receiving that sort of a criticism. Now, the second principle is, how you deal with the response. So growth doesn't happen in the feedback itself. It actually happens in how you respond to it. So most people either get defensive or shut down in the face of any sort of a criticism, missing out on that chance that they could grow from it. So looking at it as like a response revolution, it's about choosing curiosity over fear. So this is going to shift that mindset for you and create space to explore feedback more constructively and uncover whatever the deeper meaning could be. So the next time you receive any sort of a feedback, pause before you react clearly. And instead of just justifying yourself or retreating into your self-doubt, ask those questions that understand the perspective behind it. Like, can you tell me more about what you noticed? What specific suggestions do you have that I could do? Like, curiosity, it really does transform your feedback from maybe you feeling like it was a threat into opportunity for dialogue and discovery. And so what you want to do is create your personal, what's a reset you can do on response? Think of it as like a ritual. And think of it by developing a 3-step, ritual for resetting your mindset back into responding to the feedback. So take deep breaths to center yourself. Mentally express that gratitude by saying I appreciate this opportunity to grow. Frame the response into asking questions to dive deeper. Can you share an example of how to help me understand? And then practice asking, what can I learn? Keep reframing what people said. And then also gratitude, respond to feedback by acknowledging that the effort it took to share it. Hey, thanks for taking the time to share your perspective. It really does set a positive tone, and it prevents you, when you think of it from a positive tone, prevents you from going into that defensive response that you could be tempted to dive into. Now, our third one is looking at your value line. You're going to create a bank account, like a vault, the value vault. So feedback often contains these hidden gems of truth, even when it's delivered poorly or wrapped in negativity. So the value vault, it's going to represent this idea that criticism, no matter how challenging it might be, often holds something of value to you. So your job is to mine it. What insight could there be, and how do you use it to enhance your growth? So when you face any sort of a criticism, focus on finding the actionable piece within the truth. Even if it's 90% of the feedback feels unhelpful and the remaining 10%, that might be the thing that could be unlock meaningful improvement for you. So asking yourself, what part of this feedback can I use? How can I apply the insight to create a better result? And shift your focus from the delivery of the feedback, which could be done poorly, to its substance. How can I unlock the hidden value here? And so you want to practice finding value in unexpected places, challenging yourself to okay, how do I find value, even when it's poorly delivered or unsolicited feedback? What part of this can it still help me grow? Training your mind to see it as opportunities for improvement, regardless of how the delivery was given. Now, our fourth one is what I call the connection catalyst, and I refer to this in a couple different videos, but here's something that's really fascinating. It's actually how you handle the feedback doesn't just impact growth, it transforms that relationship. When you receive criticism with openness and grace, it's going to foster trust and signal to others that you value whatever their input is. Creates deeper, more authentic connections, which is a huge part of what the GIVER method is. We talked about those relationship riches. So what you want to do is, instead of becoming defensive, brush off feedback. Thank the person for their perspective, even if you don't necessarily agree with everything, by showing appreciation, for whatever it is that their input was. It does strengthen your relationship. So you can say things like, hey, I appreciate taking the time to share this with me. Gives me something important to think about. This, once again, this approach turns that feedback into a tool for collaboration and mutual respect. And so you can do different things here as action items. You can schedule feedback sessions with individuals, monthly, quarterly, and find a feedback partner. And you can use that time to discuss progress or seek advice or ask specific areas you want to improve. Once again, expressing genuine gratitude and feedback. But honestly, identifying some feedback partners who you can, maybe 2 to 3 people, trusted individuals who can give you honest and constructive feedback. whether it be friends, family member, colleagues, mentors, who genuinely want to see you grow and can give you that feedback that you're going to listen to and not be able to, and not immediately jump to a defensive response to. Our fifth one is going to be this growth accelerator, how we really speed it up. So feedback has the power to fast track your growth if you approach it with intention. So by separating the constructive insights, from unhelpful noise that there can be, you can really use that feedback to refine your skills and clarify your strengths and address what those blind spots might be that you have. So it's like putting your personal development into the fast track. So develop a process for evaluating feedback, asking yourself, okay, is this feedback actionable? Does it align with my goals? What can I do differently based off this input? And create a simple system for tracking feedback and implementing the small changes over time. It's not about the big change, but those little changes over time that help to refine the gifts and superpowers and propel you forward. For example, keep a journal where you document key pieces of feedback and outline specific steps to apply them. Like, this is going to make it so that you have a consistent driver for improvement that you just have built in. So action item, that growth system, create that growth acceleration system. And so whatever that may be, so how do you take that feedback? How do I gather the feedback from multiple sources? How do I evaluate and assess the validity of it and the relevance? How do I implement and act on the insights by setting really clear and measurable goals? And then how do I track the progress and the results that are coming from it? Then you can set clear goals that you can use to address it, find any additional areas to improvement, and then celebrate the wins, no matter how small they might be. As you keep a log of milestones or improvements you have, you want to focus on those small wins, because celebrating each achievement to maintain motivation and to reinforce the value of feedback in your growth journey. Now, our sixth principle, I talk a lot about building legacy. And so how you navigate criticism creates lasting impact, that not only on your own personal growth, but also to those who maybe look to you for guidance. By modeling a healthy relationship with feedback, you show others how to approach it as a tool for growth rather than a source of fear and frustration. I mean, just imagine, if you receive feedback from someone a superior to you, or someone, a mentor, someone like that, criticism, it can feel like an attack. Well, I've seen plenty of times where it's been the opposite, where feedback that's coming from mentees and such to the mentor, and the mentor takes offense that it's coming at them. It's like, okay, hold on, we got to be able to give and receive both ways, and that way it shows that mutual respect. So be transparent about your own learning journey. Share how you've used feedback to overcome any sort of challenges that you have, or refine your skills. And when someone sees that you embrace feedback as a positive force, it gives them permission to do the same. So you can mentor others by teaching them how to maybe process their feedback constructively and turn growth into this ripple effect that really does inspire and supports others. And so what you can do here, action item, is once again, as we're documenting your feedback, start to look at it from a transformation journey. Chronicle what that journey is, the growth, the feedback from the feedback you received, include any maybe initial challenges or steps that you took, and then how you addressed it, and eventually what was the outcome. This becomes a story of resilience and growth that you can just share with others, and people are going to love to hear. So you turn those experiences into teachable moments. You can do that through mentoring or speaking, or however you give that. So you say, show how the feedback has shaped you. Sharing your story inspires others to embrace feedback. So, and of course, create safe spaces for feedback. You need to foster and create these environments where giving and receiving feedback is encouraged and constructive. It could be work related, it could be personal life, but you got to lead by example and normalize this open and honest communication that you can have. And then our seventh one is called the impact amplifier. So when you learn to process feedback effectively, it's going to amplify your ability to really make a difference, because what once felt like criticism transforms into fuel for improvement and creativity and a greater contribution. So it's not only going to enhance the results, but also it's going to increase the value that you're going to be able to bring to others. So regularly, just take that time to reflect on the feedback you've received and how it's shaped your growth. Look for the patterns in the feedback and identify maybe the recurring themes or strengths that you could build on. So using this sort of a self-awareness to refine your approach and improve the results and deliver greater value to people. So sharing progress with others and demonstrating how the feedback has helped you grow, it's going to reinforce commitment to your continuous improvement. The more that you're willing to share, you then at that point are typically more motivated to continue to grow in that aspect. So the action steps here, once again, Measure the impact of implemented feedback. So you have to, once again, this requires reflection, requires journaling. Like, assess how acting on feedback has improved your performance or relationships or overall growth. What are those tangible metrics? Like, look for them, like productivity increases or improved skills, feedback from others on your progress. Look for patterns in the feedback and analyze maybe recurring themes in the feedback you receive. Those patterns might often point towards greater opportunities for growth or areas where you excel and could maybe further develop into being a gift or superpower. And then, of course, you refine how you deliver your gifts. So as you use feedback to continually improve the way you share your talents and gifts with others, like if the feedback you got highlighted that you need for more clarity and communication, focus on simplifying your message. Now, along the way, there are going to be some struggles. There are going to be some challenges that people have. So let's just throw them out there. Emotionally triggering, things that could happen. So create a personal cool down routine before responding. Feedback overwhelm, like choose the one piece of feedback that you could focus on at that time. Maintain your boundaries, because you have to learn to accept to use the useful while letting go of the unhelpful. And then you got to move past this fear of vulnerability. Just start small with maybe a trusted source and then build gradually from there. Like, remember, criticism isn't your enemy. It's actually a spotlight for highlighting where your gifts can grow stronger. Each piece of feedback is that opportunity to enhance your ability to create meaningful impact. So start small, choose one piece of feedback to transform this week, and then watch how your response changes both you and those around you. And if you're ready to maybe explore deeper, dive deeper into how you can develop those gifts and superpowers, maybe use feedback as that fuel for growth, then go to thegivermethod.com, get on the newsletter list, or go to thegivermethodbook.com and get on the pre-launch list for the book. That way, as it comes out, you could get it and you could start receiving those insights and tips and things of how you can turn things like criticism into a strength, develop those gifts and superpowers, and make a greater impact in your world. And so, if this video, resonated with you, give it a thumbs up, like it, share it with someone who might need to hear this message as well. In the comments, tell us about a time where maybe feedback helped you grow, because your story, it might actually be inspiration that someone else needs to begin their path of transformation. And so until next time, I just invite you to keep growing and keep giving, and remember that feedback is just the fertilizer for superpowers. Sometimes it stinks like fertilizer, but it's going to help you to grow and push your superpowers faster based off what you're trying to get done. Believe in you. The world's waiting for you to step into who it is meant you were meant to be. So the more you can take feedback and develop yourself, the better off you will be. So until next time, have a great rest of your day.